Have you ever wondered how a new country is born, not over centuries, but in the fire of a 9-month war? Today, we're diving into the dramatic story of 1971, a year that redrew the map of South Asia and created the nation of Bangladesh. It all started with a place called East Pakistan, geographically separated from West Pakistan by over 1,000 miles of Indian territory. The two regions were also worlds apart in culture, language, and aspirations. The people of East Pakistan, who are primarily Bengali speakers, felt increasingly oppressed by the political and military elite in the West. Tensions had been simmering for years, but in 1971, they exploded. Following a landslide election victory by the East Pakistani political party, the Awami League, the West Pakistani military leadership refused to hand over power. Instead, they launched a brutal military crackdown on the night of March 25, 1971. This was the beginning of a horrific genocide. Cities were shelled, intellectuals were targeted, and a wave of terror was unleashed upon the Bengali population. As the violence escalated, a massive humanitarian crisis unfolded. Ordinary people, faced with unimaginable brutality, had no choice but to flee. In one of the largest refugee movements in human history, nearly 10 million men, women, and children poured across the border into neighboring India, seeking safety from the slaughter. India, led by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, was faced with an immense challenge. The refugee crisis was straining its resources, but the moral call to act was undeniable. The world watched, but India did more than just watch. It opened its borders, provided food and shelter, and gave refuge to the exiled Bangladeshi government. But India's support didn't stop at humanitarian aid. It began to actively assist the Bengali resistance fighters, famously known as the Mukti Bahini, or freedom fighters. These were students, farmers, soldiers, and everyday citizens who had taken up arms to fight for their homeland. India provided them with crucial training, weapons, and logistical support, helping to turn a scattered resistance into a more organized guerrilla force. The Mukti Bahini waged a relentless campaign, disrupting supply lines and challenging the Pakistani army's control. For 9 long months, the battle for liberation raged. The international community was divided, with complex Cold War politics at play. Despite the immense pressure and the risk of a wider conflict, India continued its support. Finally, on December 3, 1971, after Pakistani airstrikes on Indian airfields, India formally entered the war. What followed was a swift and decisive military campaign. The Indian Army, coordinating closely with the Mukti Bahini, launched a multi-pronged attack. The combined forces moved with incredible speed, bypassing heavily fortified Pakistani positions and racing towards the capital, Dhaka. The war on the Eastern Front lasted just 13 days. The final chapter was written on December 16, 1971. Surrounded and with no hope of victory, the Pakistani forces in Dhaka formally surrendered. The image of the Pakistani general signing the instrument of surrender is one of the most iconic moments of 20th century history. This was the moment the war was won. This was the moment Bangladesh was born. India was one of the very first countries in the world to officially recognize the new independent nation of Bangladesh, establishing diplomatic ties and cementing a friendship forged in struggle and sacrifice. The 1971 war is a powerful story of oppression and resistance, of a nation's fight for its identity, and of a neighbor that stepped in when the world looked away. It's a testament to the idea that freedom is worth fighting for. Thanks for joining us on this journey back in time. If you found this story as compelling as we do, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments what piece of history you'd like us to explore next. See you in the next video.